Welcome back to Reddit Echoes, where real-life stories don't just make you think. Sometimes they make you shout, "What the hell?" Today I'm bringing you 3 stories that start off as something completely ordinary. Work love those small, everyday frictions, but then spiral into moments that are shocking, heartbreaking, and sometimes deeply satisfying. You'll meet a woman who was humiliated in a meeting for making a deeply personal choice that no one had the right to judge. A girl who realized she was just a prop for her boyfriend's adult film fantasies in a relationship that felt anything but real. And a story that begins with something as simple as taking home her own laundry, only to uncover a man who refused to grow up even at 30. These stories might make you angry, make you laugh bitterly, or even nod and think been there. But most importantly, they're true, and they reflect the very real lives of so many people. Story 1. I was humiliated in a meeting for having an abortion, and I made them pay. High Reddit Echoes. I never thought I'd share this part of my life here, but after everything that's happened, I figured if this story helps someone out there feel less alone, then it's worth it. I'm a 27-year-old woman working in what you might call a painfully average office, the kind of job that's neither glamorous nor dramatic until it turned into a real-life version of The Office but directed by Ryan Murphy. I sit right next to a so-called respectable figure, a 61-year-old executive assistant, the kind of person whose voice alone makes you want to move desks. She doesn't hate me outright, no, that would be too direct. Instead, she mothers me, like some overbearing tiger mom, except I'm not her daughter, and I've made that very clear. She calls me little girl, adjusts the way I sit, and once even said, "Men don't like girls with messy hair, sweetheart." Oh, thanks. I didn't know you were recruiting a son-in-law on my behalf. I put up with it. Many times. But things finally exploded during a Friday meeting I will never forget. Opening scene. The tense meeting. There were 8 of us in the conference room. The tension was thick. We were discussing a delayed project that might lead to layoffs. I gently suggested, maybe we should end the meeting early to give everyone time to think. I thought it was harmless. But then, the assistant turned to me, squinting with a twisted smile that carved into every wrinkle on her face. "You're pretty good at ending things, aren't you? Especially personal ones." I froze. The others looked around, clearly confused. But she wasn't done. She kept going. I mean, it's not like people don't know you had an abortion this year. I don't remember much after that. Within 3 seconds, the room went silent. I stood up face pale and said, "Have a great weekend, everyone." Then I walked straight out. Heart pounding, head spinning with only one question in mind. How the hell did she know? The investigation begins. I had an abortion earlier this year. No one knew except 2 people, my best friend and my ex. Neither of them worked with me and certainly didn't know that venomous old woman. I couldn't wrap my head around it. Until Reddit pointed something out. It's possible the clinic leaked your info. That hit me like a second violation. Not physical, but emotional. A breach of privacy. Who gave anyone the right to dig into one of the most painful decisions of my life and throw it out in a meeting like a damn joke? I called my lawyer first thing Monday. Not just because I wanted to sue, but because I needed to know what rights I had and how I could make sure no one else would ever have to go through what I did. The secret unfolds. When I reviewed my medical documents, one detail caught my eye. My boss's daughter-in-law worked at the very clinic where I had the procedure. A strange coincidence. Yeah, no. She regularly attended family gatherings. And who's the queen of wine-fueled gossip circles at those parties? The executive assistant. I couldn't prove it 100%, but the pieces fit too perfectly. They treated my story like some twisted secret to be whispered over dessert. The confrontation. On Wednesday, I was called into the office. My boss wanted to clear things up in a meeting with me and the assistant. I agreed, but brought a trusted co-worker as a witness and requested a written record. The assistant cried and said I misunderstood, that her comment wasn't meant that way. Oh, really? So I misunderstood you publicly bringing up one of the most traumatic moments of my life in front of 8 colleagues. My boss said, "We don't condone this kind of behavior between co-workers," and asked her to apologize. That was it. I lifted my chin, looked my boss in the eye, and asked, "And the consequences? What do you mean? You want consequences?" "No. I want accountability. Not because I hate her, but because someone else might be next." My boss began to deflect. This wasn't a data breach, just a slip of the tongue. I asked, "Then where did she get the information?" He casually replied, "My daughter-in-law mentioned it. She works there. Probably slipped up." And then he added, "I mean, looking at you, no one would even guess you had anything done." I gave a cold laugh. That was the moment I realized these people didn't think they did anything wrong. They thought I was being too sensitive. My gentle revenge begins. I asked everyone in the room to sign the meeting minutes documenting who said what. Then I said my lawyer will be in touch. We'll continue this in writing. I walked out without looking back. The price they paid. 3 days later, the assistant was fired. Turns out this was her 3rd strike. First, she insulted an immigrant colleague. Second, she mocked the accent of a disabled co-worker. I didn't feel joy, just vindication. As for the clinic, the head doctor personally called and sent a formal apology. The employee who leaked my information was fired. I also received a generous settlement. And the company, my boss and I mutually agreed to terminate my contract with a hefty compensation package. My lawyer is now pursuing both civil and criminal cases under GDPR violations. And I made a promise to myself I will not be silenced. A final message. I used to think I was weak. I nearly cried when I was humiliated in front of 8 people I worked with. But the truth is, I won with kindness and resolve. And if you've ever been shamed, had your privacy stolen, or been dismissed just because you're a woman, don't stay silent. Stand up. Make them regret it. This is Reddit Echoes. And if you've ever believed silence is safety, remember some stories only truly end when you dare to tell them. Story 2. I'm not an adult film actress, and I'm tired of playing a role in my own relationship. I don't remember exactly when I started feeling like I was acting, but not in the Oscar-winning kind of way. No, I'm talking about the kind with red lights, fake moans, and perfectly choreographed scenes that are completely devoid of emotion. Except I wasn't on a film set. I was lying in my boyfriend's bed, and I wasn't getting paid a dime. The early days, Mr. Sweet guy. When we first met, he was the kind of guy that made you think, wow, maybe I actually found the one. He had a charming smile, always played the perfect song at the cafe, and once brought me a cup of coffee with a little handwritten note for the girl who deserves to wake up warm every morning. Yeah, it sounds like it was ripped straight out of a Wattpad fanfic, but back then I was a soft-hearted girl still reeling from a bitter breakup. I was the perfect target for faux affection. Everything felt sweet, until I moved in with him. When real life kicked in, I found his computer stuffed with adult videos categorized more meticulously than the Library of Congress. He even had a folder named The Real Stuff, and don't ask me why I opened it. But inside were dozens of clips where actresses complained post-shoot about physical injuries. When I asked him about it, he shrugged. They just say that for PR. They actually enjoy it. It sent a chill down my spine, but I brushed it off. I mean, doesn't everyone watch porn? But he didn't stop at watching. He wanted me to be just like them. When he made me perform in my own relationship. The first time he said it, I thought it was a joke. Moan a little like an actress. You know, to get me going. He wasn't joking. I tried explaining that I didn't feel comfortable performing like that I wanted our intimacy to feel real, slow, and connected. You know, like actual adult human beings. I thought he'd understand. Instead, he said, "You always make things too serious. Women like this stuff. You're just too sensitive." So after that, every time we had sex, it turned into a performance, a painfully degrading one. No touching, no foreplay. Just bending me like a broken pretzel and expecting me to moan like I was competing for most erotic scene at Cannes. I started going silent. Not from shame, but emptiness. I felt like a prop, a body that could breathe but wasn't allowed to feel. Anytime there was a steamy scene on TV, he'd mutter, "Wish you'd ride me like that." One time I smiled weakly and said, "She gets paid thousands to do that." "I don't." He snapped. "So you're saying women only do it for money? Are you calling yourself a gold digger?" I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. All I could think was, I'm living with a man whose brain has been programmed by porn. Then I snapped in the most polite way possible. One night after he snapped at me again for not being as flexible as those actresses, I sat up, looked him straight in the eye and said, "I'll do everything they do. Moan, arch my back, twist myself into a knot, scream your name like you're the god of pleasure. The moment you pay me what they get per scene." I'd never seen his face turn that red. He screamed, "You cheap, where all you care about is money." I said if I cared about money, I wouldn't be dating a guy whose bank account balance is lower than his EQ. I didn't say another word. I stood up calmly, started folding my clothes into a suitcase. He blocked the doorway and shouted, "You're leaving just because I want you to satisfy my needs?" I looked at him calmly. "No, I'm leaving because you never cared about mine." Finally stepping out of a role I never auditioned for. As I walked out, he screamed behind me, "You selfish bitch! Hope someone does to you what you did to me." I didn't answer. I just rolled my suitcase out of their hands, shaking, heart racing, but with a strange sense of peace. A close friend let me stay with her for a few weeks. I didn't celebrate. I didn't cry. I felt numb, because deep down I knew. In that relationship, I didn't just lose trust. I lost myself. One final note. And if you're wondering how I ended up with someone like that in the first place, because he was a good actor. He was kind, respectful, made me feel seen. But the moment I moved in, the mask fell off, and I became a side character in a script I never agreed to. Final thoughts. If you're in a relationship where you constantly feel like you're performing, where your pain is ignored, where your entire existence is just acting out someone else's fantasy, please remember, you weren't born to perform for anyone. You were born to live authentically. This is Reddit Echoes, where no moan is ever for someone else's approval, but a reminder that you deserve to be loved for real. Story 3. I just wanted to wash my own clothes, but my boyfriend acted like I broke a marriage vow. I never thought that bringing home a few pieces of underwear to wash could be the reason a grown man completely lost it. But here we are. This is the story of a boyfriend whose concept of adulthood peaked at knowing how to turn on the washing machine, but never actually using it. Context: I'm 27. He's 30. We'd been dating for 10 months. We didn't live together. I'd just sleep over at his place some weekends, usually every other week. At first he told me, "You should just leave some of your stuff here. Makes things easier." I thought, "Oh, that's sweet." So I left a few small things, a toothbrush, 2 backup pairs of underwear, some pajamas, and a hoodie in case it got cold. Just little things, nothing major. But then I noticed they never got washed. The forgotten underwear. I realized my pajamas were still sitting in his laundry basket from my last visit 2 weeks ago. I asked gently, "Did you forget to do laundry?" He gave a sheepish smile. "Yeah, I meant to just slipped my mind." I laughed it off. No big deal. Then I offered, "Next time I'll just take my stuff home to wash easier that way." He agreed. "Yeah, makes sense. Looks gross just sitting in the basket." But of course, nothing changed. When it all became too much, I started realizing that I was always the one doing the laundry every time I came over. Not just mine, his too. I was juggling a full-time job in grad school, and by the weekend, my reward was sorting through piles of his dirty underwear, sweaty socks, and crusty old t-shirts. Meanwhile, he was gaming with his headset on, screaming at the TV, "Team up, you idiots." And I, his girlfriend, was washing the underwear of a 30-year-old man who never touched his own laundry. So I quietly packed up the rest of my stuff and took it all home. Let me emphasize, I only took my things. The ridiculous reaction. The next day, he noticed my stuff was gone. He looked at me like I'd just cheated on him with the washing machine. "Why did you do that? Do what? Take all your stuff home? Are you breaking up with me?" It took me a few seconds to process that he actually thought I was ending things. Because I did my laundry. I calmly said no. It's just, my things were sitting unwashed for weeks, so I took them home. He yelled, "You're acting like I'm some kid who needs his mommy." I sighed. "Well, you're kinda acting like one right now." When silence said it all after that fight, he ghosted me. No texts, no calls, nothing. I sent a couple of casual messages to check in. No reply. I didn't apologize because I hadn't done anything wrong. But part of me wondered, did he really think I disrespected him over laundry? I called. He didn't pick up, so I left a voicemail. My voice calm, honest. "I'm hurt that you yelled at me for simply wanting to wash my own clothes. I hope you're okay. But if I don't hear back from you, I'll take it as a sign that we're done. I didn't beg. I was just exhausted." 3 minutes later. My phone rang. It was him. His voice was shaky. "I'm sorry. I didn't think it would go this far. I wanted to enjoy my game and still have you here. Please don't leave." I paused. Then I said, "You hurt me over something so stupid. I'm not your mom. I'm not here to scrub your dirty underwear and beg to be loved." He choked up. "So, this is really it," I replied, "with someone who can't even do his own laundry. Yeah, this is it." Then he hung up, and I finally breathed. Yes, I was sad. I won't lie. But that sadness quickly gave way to relief. No more battling moldy socks. No more being guilt-tripped. No more being someone's girlfriend/housemaid for free. I once loved him. I did. But now I only felt sorry. That he loved the convenience I brought more than he ever loved me. A simple conclusion. My ex-boyfriend thought I left him because I did my own laundry. The truth, I left him because he didn't deserve someone kind enough to do it, not even for herself. Final message. If you ever feel like you're being taken for granted, whether it's laundry or emotional labor, you're not too sensitive. You're simply waking up to the truth. You deserve someone who handles their own dirty laundry literally and figuratively. This is Reddit Echoes, where love begins with care, not with an overflowing laundry basket. If you've made it this far, thank you for staying and walking through these raw, honest slices of life with me. You see, we're not always hurt by clearly bad people. Sometimes it's the passive-aggressive remark in a meeting, the twisted expectations in the bedroom, or the sheer apathy toward a laundry basket that chips away at our trust piece by piece. But the beautiful thing is the people in today's stories chose to rise. They didn't choose silence. They didn't choose to shrink themselves. They chose to speak up, walk away, and reclaim their self-respect. And if you're going through something similar right now, I hope you remember this. You're not crazy. You're not weak. And you're not wrong for choosing yourself first. This is Reddit Echoes, where every story is an echo of truth of hurt, and also a powerful reminder that you deserve respect, real love, and a life where you never have to perform to be accepted. If you saw even a piece of yourself in today's video, leave a comment below, because someone out there might need your story to find the courage to move forward. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share Reddit Echoes so you never miss the next story. See you in the next video, where we don't just tell stories. We relive the rawest parts of life together.